Before September 21st, 1989, few would have thought a hurricane could wreak havoc as far inland as Utahville, St. Stephen, Sumter, or Manning. And from the looks of those rural areas after that date, it was obvious few were prepared.
It looks like just about the entire trailer park is flattened or flipped. There's stuff on both sides of the road. Again, here we are, Sumter County, 80 miles at least from the ocean. And this house, no roof on it, yet people are still living here. Smashed cars, people's clothes and furniture all over the ground. Yes, this is obviously what was left of a trailer. As little as these people had, they've got nothing now. And for most people out here, way out in the country, they really don't have any place to go.
The swinging arm of Hugo's northeast quadrant was only slightly buffered by the islands it smashed along the coast, continuing across farms, fields, and forests as it sped with greatest ferocity on a line from Cape Romaine to Sumter County, smashing barns, decapitating churches, and scattering homes and possessions in its wake.
These from New York.
Uh-huh.
Because we retired, come home now to live, and this is what we get.
What you gonna do?
Have it fixed and stay right here. Home is home. What could I do? I didn't go to the Santa the other night. I stayed right here when Hugo come true. And God let him mess up this room, and me and my husband was back there in the front room.
Those who merely had some house damage were the lucky ones.
What are y'all gonna try to do? Just take pieces, whatever you got, and nail it back up there?
No, we ain't gonna do nothing but knock it down.
Really?
Knock it down. Maybe we can,
That's
we're gonna try to see if we can maybe get a trailer, temporarily until we rebuild.
The mobile home trailer that had become the backbone of low-income rural housing was everywhere crippled by its sadly evident inability to withstand such heavy winds.
Mobile homes that people had left, looked like somebody picked them up and turned them upside down. So, hey, I got a few possessions.
I guess this is another trailer that just was squashed. Yes, it's flipped over. You can actually see the wheels on sticking out of the top, completely flipped over, and there's nothing left.
Although these inland areas were hit no worse than the coast, the cost of suffering seemed higher.
Did you have any insurance?
I didn't have nothing. I just worked long enough to pay for it, and this happened. That's my luck. It's ruined me.
How many mobile homes with families in it does it take to make one of those multi-million-dollar establishments or homes on the Sea Island?
Before the storm, the average person out here had less income and insurance than those in the greater Charleston area. But after the storm, they had less food, water, power, shelter, TV coverage, or access to relief.
We've asked for different things to come up, and they say, well, it's on the way. Then they tell us that it's in Charleston. Come to Charleston and get it. Well, we don't have...
you can't go to Charleston
and get it. We don't. Our street department consists of 3 people, 3 men. And the street department truck to go get this stuff with was destroyed with the hurricane.
But the mere fact that you're here is some indication that at least you're concerned, but we need some more morale boosters, and we don't have that right now.
There were a few places where food was distributed, and a handful of linemen on larger roads restoring power. But the people of the neighboring counties learned the hard way to fend for themselves.
Did y'all stay here during the storm?
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, terrible.
Was it? Have you got anything left? Have you got power, water, anything?
Got no power, no water.
So what have you been doing for food or for anything that you need?
We're just trying to make out the cook on the outside, and
you've been cooking here on this fire. You know, what about now that it's raining? What can you do?
Yeah, do nothing now.
Near Pineville, volunteers trying to rescue a man trapped in his home could get no heavy machinery and had to cut through nearly a mile of debris. Outside Greeleyville, a store owner shared his dwindling supply of kerosene with those who had none.
Hello?
One sheriff's deputy scoured hundreds of acres on foot near Alvin to check on people who were unaccounted for.
The main roads are blocked. We don't even know how many people are injured or dead out in the main areas.
In Allendale, these folks kept warm with an outdoor fire, using the oak tree that destroyed their house to hang what clothes they could salvage. And in Jamestown, the community relied on neighbors for their next meal.
I'm getting ready to feed about 40 people working in the plant. Where are you going to feed them? I got a barbecue cook at home, I got propane gas, and we're going to make a big soup, pot of soup. We're combining everything together and make one big pot.
But even with the communities pulling together out here, there was fear in some remote areas where security had broken down.
We had some reports of businesses being threatened. Not so much in St. Stephen's, but these little small mom and pop stores and stuff that's still standing. We're having threats that people might come in on them.
While Mary Way and her son picked up the pieces of their home in Sumter County, her husband was away guarding someone else's property on orders from the National Guard.
I know that's my husband's duty, and I'm not going to hold him for his duty, because when he joined in, we know that anything like this or any other disaster, you know, he's would have to go. We realize that.
We have people who are sleeping at night by the doors with pistols and guns. They're scared to death because all we have is full-man police department who've been working 24 hours a day since this thing began. The state has sent us some SLED officers. I think it was 5 one night, 2 last night to help with the police department. 5 National Guardsmen were here one night. It was 3 last night, I believe, Chief. Is that correct? And it's not enough.
By the time we reached Ruth Canarley, who lives alone outside Alvin, someone had already broken into her ravaged mobile home, and she lived in fear, guarding it with a shotgun.
This roof is
the only thing that's keeping the plastic up is they put sheets of plywood up there, but it's not going to stop the water.
Now the water's coming right in here. Look, you got part of the pine tree in here.
There was a big oak, a huge oak, that was out on forestry land. That when it came down, it smashed all these sheds, all my storage area back there, and came right on into the trailer in 3 different places. And it brought down 2 pines with it.
I guess this is all your possessions, right?
Everything all.
And it's just smashed. It's garbage. I mean, there's nothing you can do with this.
No.
You're gonna have to throw this away. It's all ruined.
And I'm uninsured and unemployed.
The prospect of rural income looked especially bleak as small businesses were in ruin. Larger employers like the Georgia Pacific plant near Russellville was heavily damaged, and fields of cotton, corn, and soybeans were 6 inches deep in mud and water.
Now here I am sloshing about ankle deep into a bean field. Of course, even though these beans may have survived the storm, to get in there, harvest them, you've got to get machinery in here. And if I can't walk through here, then a machine that weighs over a ton is certainly not going to get through here either.
And as sad as the scattering of barnyard animals that provided tiny supplements of food and cash, even sadder was the fact that these creatures, who share our capacity for fear and pain, rarely had any shelter at all from the storm. It was also depressing to see the condition of our national forests, as the state's 3rd largest industry took a terrible beating. This included the beautiful natural areas like Cypress Gardens, a maze of land trails through banks of bald cypress and dazzling azaleas that had taken so many years to carve out of the wilderness, transformed in a matter of hours into a broken pile of rubbish.
Did you get across?
Yeah.
But the saddest stories of all were those we found in the neighboring counties where elderly people suffered helpless and alone.
Do you have any money to rebuild or anything like that?
And none was more tragic than that of 86-year-old Milson Holliday of Manning.
Hello, sir. How are you doing, sir? I'm Michael Trush with Channel 5 down in Charleston. We've just been coming up this way to see how everybody's doing. Are y'all okay?
Yeah.
Looked like the house got it pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yes, sir. Is there anything that we can let anybody know that would help?
I don't believe not yet.
Do you have water?
No.
Electricity?
No. But my neighbor got water.
Yes, sir.
I got some lamps and candles.
You just got lamps and candles?
Mm-hmm.
Are you here by yourself?
Oh, yeah. My wife passed away last week.
Yes,
Early tonight.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Holliday's wife had died the day of the storm, and even as his world seemed to collapse around him, strangers showed up looking to make money.
Are y'all actually coming in and moving these things for people for free, or are you charging them, or what?
Well, there's a charge. Yeah.
How much would it cost for something like this? Roughly.
You're looking at a couple of $1,000.
$1,000?
It was hard to believe, amid all the fanfare of a billion-dollar recovery, that the only hand extended to this man was palm up, holding a bill.
Well, I really honestly wish there was something more I could do.
Well, I appreciate it, but
If you feel like you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I hope so too.
Fortunately, our report of this story brought a flood of calls offering to repair Mr. Holliday's house for free. But the effects of the storm and its recovery will always be a vivid, sometimes painful memory for those in neighboring areas, for its destruction, its emotional aftermath, and the unyielding spirit of the Lowcountry people.
This is one time when we have a disaster that America always pulled together. I've seen it in wartime, and I've seen it in this, and we just thank the news media for doing such a great job.
The damage is done. We're still living.
Yeah.
And that's what we're thankful for.
In the week before that fateful Friday, we had a lot of problems, or so we thought. How would we get that ticket to this year's Clemson-Carolina game? Or are we going to get that pay raise we've been promised? Or will the next door neighbor finally quit playing that stereo so loudly? But in the aftermath of Hugo, our priorities changed. Now we asked, where can I get a drink of water? Can we get enough food to last through the weekend? Will our cars make it to the gas station? Where will my family sleep tonight? But as those most primitive questions were asked, the answers came back in a civilized tone from leaders and neighbors who cared.
It took a mobilization of armies to lead a counterattack. We had become victims of a hostile weather war. An assault had been made on 20th century life as we knew it.
It's total chaos, really. Confusion. Where do we go? What do we do?
This on scaffolds or what?
No, we're just the start here.
I know, but the start is
There's about another probably 35 or 40 rigs coming in.
We appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
This was the call to arms, to fight back, to find food, water, a place to sleep.
National media with their helicopters flying all over the place. You got President Bush declaring in a national disaster area.
But this would be a hard-fought battle.
People are helping people. I mean, that's the only way we can get through it.
Everything is just chaos right now.
To many folks, it seemed that way. Lines were everywhere, and they were long. These people waited for ice that never arrived. Tempers were short.
That is precious gas that they had to use to come here, to stand in line, to say that there's nothing.
No ice, the milk's going to be bad within a matter of hours.
We got a bad government, that's all I can say. They're lying to the public.
It took power to get the gas out of the pump. More long lines here.
North Main and Somerville, they are open. On Trolley Road in Somerville, they are also open. On College Park in Ladson, that pantry store is open, and the one on Red Bank Road in Goose Creek is open, as well as the store on Ashley Phosphate in North Charleston. We also want to mention that the Salvation Army is looking for donations of ice, non-perishable foods, clothes, baby food, formula, the all-important Pampers or any sort of disposable diapers, and fruit.
Mammals.
$5.22.
There was no power to run the cash register or to turn on the lights. You either found what you wanted outside or waited your turn to go inside.
Not letting anybody in, sir. We'll be with you in just a few minutes. Just bear with us, and we'll see if we can take care of you, okay?
Money changed hands for the most basic necessities. Batteries for your flashlights, coolers for your food, bleach to make drinking water, charcoal to cook.
We don't have any electricity, so we're going to do a lot of cooking out here for the next couple of days. I'm trying to find a radio. You know where I can get one cheap?
Roadside stands popped up. Generators were in big demand.
Price is $2,200.
Oh my God, I don't need to install my own plant. Woo.
But there were some who just took what they needed and more. There was only one way to fight the looters in the lightless night, a curfew from dusk to dawn.
Trying to get home.
All right, the city police have established a curfew from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m.
Yes, sir.
This is the first day it's been established. We'll be enforcing it throughout the week. If you live down here, I need to see some identification with an address on it. All right, continue. Sorry for the inconvenience.
At sunup, power companies tangled with thousands of miles of downed wires.
We got to go up there and straighten out the cross arm and put another pin and insulate on there and put the wire back up there so we can pull it in.
We rode for 10 miles in at one place and maybe seen 2 poles standing. And I had never seen anything like it. And hope I don't ever see anything like it again.
This is something that none of us have ever seen before. You know, when they say it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks, they're very serious, and people are just going to have to, realize that.
What do you think about all this problem with the power?
I think it's terrible, but to come down here and see them working on it just makes my heart feel good.
To give you some confidence that maybe it's going to work out?
Yeah, but we're doing all right.
Doing all right. That's the way we made it. Despite the cold showers, never-ending noise of the chainsaws and hum of generators, it was the firm resolve and helping hands that got us through each day.
If Hugo was a high school class in basic understanding and cooperation, just about everyone in the Lowcountry would get an A. For the most part, people were patient, understanding, kind. But if you can't get to your home or find out if you even have a home, or you can't get enough food to feed your baby, or you can't get enough money to buy a gallon of gas, tempers are bound to flare. Rightly so, some say. Those days after Hugo, some people had had enough. Enough of government red tape, enough of leaders saying they couldn't see their homes. The trying times of Hugo had reached the boiling point.
It began soon after the hurricane hit. People on Sullivan's Island and the Isle of Palms, like the rest of us, wanted to see their homes or what was left of them. But authorities on both islands declared martial law, brought in the National Guard, and told the people they were not allowed on the islands for their own safety. Well, that infuriated many residents, and since the Ben Sawyer Bridge had been torn down by the storm, some sneaked onto their islands the only way they could, by private boats. Others were turned back in the water, within sight of their homes.
We're having some warning shots being fired over boats that go beyond that point, and I don't want that to happen to you.
Yes, sir.
With me as an escort, okay?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to try to clear it as far as I can. If it's okay, we'll do it. If it's not, we won't.
We've got papers showing that, we do own property there. We're not looters. We just want to go check our loot.
Finally, at a town meeting in a Mount Pleasant church, the anger and frustration of Sullivan's Island residents exploded.
Now, this is my property. All these people here, all they want to do is go in and save their property. And that's all I want to do.
Number one, we got to get those weapons unloaded. They can carry it, but get them unloaded. Yeah. Number two, Melvin, I swam in from 2,000 yards on Station 22, from 200 yards out in a boat, and I didn't see anybody. Number three, we're going to get in the island.
They say my house is in the next block, and in it there are clothes. We need these things. I don't work, and we need our things.
Mayor Melvin Anderegg tried to explain why the people were not being allowed to see their homes, but he was repeatedly shouted down. It was much the same as angry Isle of Palms residents jam-packed a school auditorium and jeered at a military spokesman who had come to explain why they could not get on the island. Then some in the angry crowd booed while others applauded as Mayor Carmen Bunch showed up at the meeting and tried to calm the island residents.
We are lawful people, and we've got to remember that, and we're in the United States of America. We're not going to take over this city by force.
It was not their homes, but their boats that some people wanted to see, boats that had been in the Wild Dunes Marina, but that were now stuffed and stacked on top of each other on nearby Goat Island.
We have proper identification. We had gotten to within maybe 100 yards of where the boats are together on Goat Island, and with guns drawn and in the air, we were chased away.
Even when people were finally allowed onto the island in tour boats, the controversy raged on when Sullivan's Island town officials proposed charging residents a fee for the ferry ride. But there was so much public outrage about that, the proposal was soon dropped. In addition to worrying about their homes, people were hungry. They wanted food. So they stood in long lines like these to get food stamps. Sometimes soldiers stood guard with their guns strapped on their shoulders. But there was confusion about just who was eligible for the food stamps. And authorities became so concerned that some people were ripping off the food stamp offices by going back 2 and 3 times. Solicitor Charles Condon promised to punish those who were caught getting the stamps illegally. David Schwacke is a deputy prosecutor, and he promised his office would give food stamp thieves a second chance.
It's the people who went through more than the times they were entitled to. If they went once in September and once in October, that's fine. But if they went more than that, they need to come see us and turn those food stamps in.
But that kind of statement also confused some people, including the elderly who rightly deserved the food stamps they got. They were worried they might go to jail, but they were assured they would not be arrested if they had gotten their food stamps legally. When people wanted emergency loans or money to help them recover from the hurricane, they thought they had found the ideal place to apply: FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They waited in long lines only to find out the money was not quickly available, and neither was anything else with this federal agency. At times, the wait and the lines seemed almost unbearable.
These people came yesterday morning at 4 o'clock and made an appointment. It would not be fair for me to take you today ahead of them.
But still, I mean, when y'all first started, that seemed to me like that's the way y'all should have. She was in the lunch.
To many, FEMA came to represent the worst in government bureaucracy and red tape, a kind of federal mismanagement agency. Senator Fritz Hollings led the attack. He called FEMA officials a bunch of bureaucratic jackasses. He said the help they sent was too little, too late.
We don't need just 2 lines out there in the suburbs. We need some down in the city, some at North Charleston, some out in the other counties. We only got 5 offices open for 17 counties declared disaster, so the bottleneck is still FEMA.
Without mentioning names, FEMA went on the counterattack. Grant Peterson is the Associate National Director.
To those very few, and I mean very, very few, who have entered into name-calling, I would like to say that to them that your comments are very unfortunate, and they add nothing to the recovery effort that is going on in this great state.
Even the president came to FEMA's defense.
But to the critics, I simply say I understand. We are trying very hard, and there are men and women, the U.S. services of FEMA, out there giving of themselves just as the people's neighbors are here.
But Charleston Mayor Joe Riley was so concerned about what he felt was FEMA's incompetence, he did what an elected official rarely if ever does. He interrupted this news conference to correct a FEMA official who was speaking to the media. What angered the mayor was this. Riley said FEMA had actually stopped a shipment of Army generators, saying they were not needed. The shipment had been arranged by Senator Hollings, who had bypassed the federal bureaucracy and gone straight to the Army. And although the shipment was only delayed about a day and a half, Riley was astounded. This exchange took place between FEMA official Paul Hall and the mayor.
750,000 people had no power. We got barrier islands that ain't going to have any power for Lord knows how long. We got rural areas that are decimated. We got senior citizen centers and churches that serve as neighborhood organizations and sewer plants and everything out. And we were told we didn't need any generators. I personally worked with the Sept and with the 2nd Army, very fine General Tate, who identified the 6 generators, 60 kW generators at Fort Knox.
I don't care what General Tate said. If you're going to talk about what FEMA said, then I'm here as a senior FEMA representative, and I was appointed by the president to come down and coordinate.
Later, in looking back at the problems with FEMA, Mayor Riley had this to say.
Right after the disaster hits, you need not a bureaucratic procedural, red tape, anything. You need action. I really think at least that segment of the relief process should be in the United States Army.
The criticism of the federal government's response to our disaster was not confined to FEMA. Those first few days after the hurricane, some people began to wonder, where is the president? Why hasn't George Bush come to visit? He did make the trip, 8 days after the hurricane. Some thought that was too late, even though the president brought with him the good news of $1.1 billion in aid to us and to other areas hard hit by Hugo. When the president arrived at the Charleston Air Force Base, he was surrounded by prominent state Republicans. There was Governor Carroll Campbell. Strom Thurmond, our senior senator, was there. So was Congressman Arthur Avenel. North Charleston Mayor John Bourne put his arm around the president as if he were a long-lost friend. And then there was Democrat Joe Riley. Waiting to meet the president, the mayor looked more like a little boy patiently standing in line to see someone famous. Because of weather problems, there was a change in the president's itinerary. His people decided he would go by limousine to tour Somerville, an area hard hit by the hurricane. But Mayor Riley was not invited along, and the president never came to Charleston, although he did tour the city by air. Well, some felt the mayor was snubbed by the president. But in looking back on this and other aspects of the president's trip, Mayor Riley doesn't see it that way.
I have no feelings of personal being snubbed or anything else. I just felt like for the city and for the community and for the state to come down into the heart of this city that had taken the eye and the whammo was the best way to kind of A, find out what happened, and B, communicate concern. It did seem to me to have a partisan tint to it, and that's just not smart, and you know, I would never do that, and I would like to think the president probably never will again, because I think he had to realize when it was all over that it looked kind of awkward. This wasn't a partisan hurricane, and there's just no time for that. I feel the president should have been here sooner. It would have been a great thing for the community, and I think for the country, and I think for the president on the heels right afterwards to come down here, see the city, hug some people, give us a lifting speech would have really lifted everybody.
A president who came too late. Angry people kept away from their homes. Long lines of waiting for help. And a federal agency more concerned about paperwork than people. For so many of us, perhaps for you, this was the frustration of Hugo.